I'm glad I put my shirt back on. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, it's rather warm, isn't it?
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm not in a quiet space, but are you hearing the background disturbance, or are you not hearing any background noise?
I'm having a job hearing, actually.
Can you speak up, David?
It may be just me.
Let's have a look if I can see if I can indeed do that. Select the microphone. Yes, of course. Yeah, I think I've just raised the microphone volume. Is that better?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay, good.
I really must get a haircut.
As you and Patsy wanted that were the instigators of this meeting, perhaps you should go first, David.
Patsy sort of invited me and asked if I was ready to meet. I mean, I sent an email and said, I'm not even sure quite exactly what I said anymore. But so, Patsy, have you some thoughts on what you hope to we might accomplish by having a chat?
Well, one of the things that I think is useful is to kind of agree whether we're happy with what ways in which we think we could improve what we're doing. One way that I would like to improve it, and probably I could be doing it already, but I'm not sure how to do it. I would like us to be presenting the talks that we do, so that they're really easy to find. Like in some sort of fairly simple system, so that perhaps by subject and by speaker, so people could search for a speaker, and they could also search for a subject, maybe. That's one thing I'd like. But also I wonder what we can do about more ideas, because for speakers, I mean, because it is actually it's a bit embarrassing if I find that I've actually asked somebody before and I've forgotten about it. So my cataloguing system is frankly a disgrace, and I could do it much better if I could. Yeah, so if I could improve my cataloguing system, it would be great. It's embarrassing for people, and it could cause ill will as well. But also I'd like some ideas about who I can approach, particularly in other meetings. Redland's meeting is particularly reclusive. Is that the name? I'm not sure if that's quite the word. But it's a job getting the blighters out, And I'm sure they're very interesting people, and it would be very nice to, so any ways that we can infiltrate groups that aren't very interested so far and get their ideas. So that's a bit of a mess rather than an agenda. But
okay. So I understand. So I'm in a sort of funny situation with what I've been doing, because I'm spread over a few different projects, doing a few different things, and to me, you can't hear properly, Patsy? Can you hear me okay? Patsy, you looked as though you were struggling.
I'm struggling. I am really struggling. I don't know what's the.
Am I not loud enough, or is there background?
It's unclear. It's not so much. It's not loud enough. It's Unclear.
Yeah. Um,
Is
I
everyone
wonder-
else okay? Is it just me?
I'm going to put my headphones away for a moment and see if the ordinary speakers are better.
Right.
The microphone on my computer. Can you hear me better or worse now?
A bit better.
Sorry?
A bit better. A bit better.
Okay, right. And I can hear you a bit better too. So, yeah, I've been starting to hassle Christopher from another direction as clerk of our meeting, and that's because right in just in the recent weeks, I've got, and this comes up in the sustainability meeting as well. I've got funding for a project, and it's quite a lot of money potentially, and we've just in the last days, at the moment we're doing what we call a feasibility study to see if all the parts would fit together, and one of the commercial partners we're working with has suddenly come up with a complete package that would work for a housing association, and they're planning to do it for 100,000 homes, which is colossal.
Mm.
And this is going to benefit the people who live in the houses and the people who live in the housing associations. The only difference between that and what we want to do is we want to do it through community centres as opposed to through a single monolithic housing association. But the other bit that's happening is by this time next week, we will, like as not, have a new government that is planning to put 200 times as much into community energy as the current government is doing. Instead of £10 million over 2 years, this government coming in is going to spend £400 million a year on community energy. And all of that can be delivered through community centres. And so we're actually at the moment actively thinking about the training programs that we will run through community centres. And these Quaker Talks are a bit of a prototype. I've got 5 energy talks in our series. And, all of it's done with no money and all of it's done with whoever showed up. But it's led to a number of talks, which have been useful opportunities for me to summarize my research and useful way for me to get that out to other people. So I've got a horribly sort of this may sound selfish because I'm only talking about my own talks here, but it's the idea of a structure for talks, of a community centre running something of an education program, and of that actually supporting not just volunteer work, but actual revenues, money for their community, not just, oh, that was a nice idea. I mean, lots of the talks have had an influence on me. And I've just had partly inspired by the weight loss and running one. I've just been and visited a naturopath and got a lot of input on health. So that's so I'm keen to continue, and I'm very open to making any kind of changes. But there's also the thought that right now, I'm working with another group that's just about to receive substantial funding. Potentially, we have to do a business plan, which will take us a few more months. But then we should be funded to put solar everywhere, working through community centres. And I've even had an inquiry from Acorn, who are a housing activist group, who want help doing outreach to the local community in St. Jude's, which I'm not sure whether Central is part of St. Jude's or not, but it is the adjacent housing estate.
Mm.
So it's just that there's all sorts of stuff going on that's sort of at the moment not central to having 10 or 15 or 20 people show up on Sunday morning for a nice Quaker meeting and tea and biscuits. It's sort of everything else that's happening out of that building and everything else that we could be with our community, and not just Quaker members. You know, we could be doing, we could be advertising talks and seminars and things. And this could be being funded. You know, not Patsy, could you organise 10 talks a week? And you know, how crazy would that drive you? But you know,
I could do it for a limited period.
lovely.
I'm not always up for a challenge, you know, but I like it to have limited parameters. I like to have some idea.
So you know, I'm keen to help do what was started at the start of COVID, if people think it's got an ongoing life. But equally, at the moment, I'm thinking of, you know, stepping forward in the community and saying we can do rather more.
On the subject of kind of community solar paneling and all this lot, I live at the moment in a tower block, which is part of a charity called Brunel Care. And if you were to approach them people as well for this type of thing, because I'm on their zero energy group, so I think they would be enormously receptive to ideas that you would have, because basically we, as that are a community, we're a community, a charity, and all those type of things which you have just been mentioning before. It's just that we don't have a base, you know, we don't have a community house or something, you know, we are, you know, in all of purposes, a housing for people of my and your age and everybody's age here, you know. So I think they would be interested, and I'd be happy to give them your details if you. Well, I should give you their details if you're interested.
Yeah. Yes, Ray. Exactly that. This group that I'm talking to, Zenergy in Leeds, have got, well, they were talking to this housing association, and the housing association said, well, you know, we're sort of halfway through a procurement process at the moment, you know, and you might be a bit late, but you know, we've had some bids in for the solar. You know, do you want to tell us what your price would be? And their jaws dropped because the bid from my partners in Leeds was £1,000 a house cheaper, and they're technically very interesting. This business was part of the second placed bid in Bristol's City Leap competition, and they were offering something quite different from a district heat network, which is what Bristol has gone for. Well, the district heat network only reaches so far. It doesn't reach around the edges of the city at all. And it's not initially about giving people lower energy bills, apart from for heat and solar energy. So it sort of overlaps with what we're doing.
But can I then make
Yeah.
a slight diversion back to what Airframe Patsy was saying a little while ago? What we need is a little more people and a little more diversity in the talks that we are going to arrange. And Patsy, and with a little input from has done quite an amazing job at the moment, So I think we need a little more people, few more people to say, how about so and so, and how about this and that, and Christopher, I don't know if you know more. Are you asleep?
Christopher, bing, 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 bing.
Christopher!
He's gone.
No, he's gone.
We've lost him.
I think you might be
There
concentrating.
you are.
Oh,
You nodded off, my friend. Anyway, back. I don't know if you know more Reds and Friends than I do.
Me?
Yes.
You probably do.
Yes, I probably do. I'll have a look through and see who I can think of and what they might speak about.
I mean, one idea I had was to go to a Redland meeting. I mean, meeting for worship, and introduce myself in my physical body, and actually try and get names and ideas from people, because it's such a big group. There are an awful lot of people there. They must have an enormous amount of exciting and interesting things to talk about. But it's almost it's quite like approaching a group of strangers. I don't know them, and which anyway I think is really rather sad and rather the opposite of what we believe we're doing. It's I mean, I also had the idea that maybe what I ought to do was to do a sort of circuits and bumps of all the meetings, which I could probably just about manage. Maybe I could charge my travel.
Yes.
I'd be happy to join you on that, and I might yet have an electric car, but I haven't got one yet.
Yes, it would be a good reason to get an electric car. But again, maybe area meeting.
So another thing, this is going to test gently Ray's knowledge of 60s music and pirate radio. But I was at a meeting at Sparks, the old Marks and Spencers, on community engagement with the council's community engagement team. And this was about how you engage with your local community. They happily run training events. So, there's the possibility, not just for us to sort of talk to Acorn and see what we could do with them, but to start doing things, in a more concerted way with training and help from the council. And funny enough, so at the end of the day, which is a lovely day, really interesting, they worked through a very good structure, starting with people talking to each other in pairs, and then fours, and then eights, and then the whole group, and then sending us out in the highways and byways to talk with the people. To talk with the people, And so this was just outside Sparks, right? And you were with a partner, and I was with this lady, and we approached two people, and it was a bit sort of Monty Python-ish, right? So it's like, excuse me, can we talk to you? Yes, what do you want? And it was sort of like, well, we're interviewing people about what they like about Bristol. Oh, they're just here for the day. It's terrible. I don't like it at all.
Oh, we should take a paper.
We had a lovely chat with them about how much they didn't like Bristol, and And I was saying, well, you should go down by the harbour side if you're in a shopping centre and not necessarily, whatever. And then the next person that we went to turned out to be the nicest old guy you could possibly imagine. And he lived in Portishead, and he came into town. He liked to engage with people. His wife had died. He was involved with community groups in Portishead, travels all around, does stuff. So my partner said, so Sonia, what's your name? And he said, Roscoe. And I said, the Emperor?
Yo.
The Emperor? And he went,
Roscoe.
No.
Right.
Yes. Heard him quite a lot. Yes.
So we met the Emperor Roscoe and had a lovely, and we carried on talking, of course, and he was a super guy. And not quite your average person in the town centre, but just the fact of engaging with people turned up unexpected things. And this is kind of it's obviously what I feel called to do at the moment, because I'm wanting everybody to have a different experience of life through do you know this idea of, in a film of Alfred Hitchcock called it the MacGuffin, right?
Yeah.
The MacGuffin is the plot element without which the film doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So the MacGuffin in what I'm doing is solar roofs for free, right? And what it does is it creates lots of interesting interaction and content, if you like. And so, I want to see all these things come together in some lovely way. But on the back burner, there's solar for everybody. There's engaging around sustainability with the people in our area. There's the council's interest in engaging with communities through communities. And there's this change of government coming up, which will be transforming. I really don't think that what's been said during the election hustings has brought across the scale of the change that's possible. I was playing with my headphones, and that had the headphones kicking in and out. Silly me, naughty.
Playing with his headphones.
So they're in this little box. If I take them out, they start connecting and not connecting, and it changes how I hear.
Stop playing with your headphones, you naughty boy.
This is an opportunity for us to start having this conversation before we get back together in September, when we will be caught up in the program anyway. But I sort of feel that there's room certainly for a day conference on energy, but maybe for a day conference on interacting with our communities.
Communication day. Mind you, we're not the people to do it. We haven't successful. How many years have we been doing that?
It could easily be run by. Sorry, Ray. Sorry, what was your question that Ray answered?
Sorry.
How long have we been doing it?
Oh, right. Is it 3 years or 4 years now?
I think it's 4.
Yeah.
It's certainly going on 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is the 4th year.
Yeah. So, there's obviously all the opportunity in the world to carry on, but there's also an opportunity to sort of branch out. And I'm not sure who else to approach, because whenever I go to the sustainability group, it ends up with Christopher writing a minute that goes to the
area meeting
or the local meeting, at the end of which I'm told, yes, well, that's very interesting. Would you like to go away and then report back? And it's like, okay. So that didn't work, did it? And it's sort of what we're starting, we're almost at the starting point with this resilience network. One moment, if I can find it.
What are you asking?
I was looking for. I was going to put up a. Okay, now I'm just going to share for a moment. Figure out how to, if I can do the right thing.
I really need a new laptop with better audio.
I want everybody to have the best possible technology. We love you all, kind of thing.
Or better than this, anyway.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. So hopefully you can see a screenshot. Yeah.
Resilient network. Yes.
Network. So for a year, we've just been working with a holding page, which doesn't say much. But now we have a little website that kind of tells our story. And it's about figuring out ways to adapt and ensure our neighborhoods are great places to live, that we've got a solar challenge, that we're going to work with members who are community centers, and that we're going to work with partners who are the people with technical knowledge who can help our members, right? So in the past, community centers, 14 community centres across Bristol got £100,000 a year each. And we're looking at how a larger number of community centres across Bristol could be sharing perhaps as much as £10 million a year. And we're starting to set up workshops and things like that. So that's it's just to show that something has happened, that something has come together. I haven't done what I would like to have done, Patsy, which is put together a website yet for our talks. But this wasn't done by me. This was done by my partner Iris and a very bright young graphic designer. But it showed in one year we've got to the point where we've got a presence that we can show people, and we're able to start inviting people to events, and we will do.
Right. Where have we got so far? Patsy, I think you're going to go and have a chat with especially Redland, who seem to have an amusing thing. And something also amusing. Did you know for most of this meeting, you are Christopher Denman also?
Oh dear.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. It just amused me. That was all.
Sorry, you're right. It's actually quite, from the point of view of the AI, it's quite important to have names right, because it's using it gets your name and puts that in the in the minutes, as it were.
Hang on, I'm on the job.
You know how to do that, won't you, Patsy?
But apart from that, David is going to think about doing something, or am I misquoting you here? All the stuff that we've got, how on a program hard drive.
Well, I'm going to put together something towards that would be in a direction of having something tangible to approach the community with. It's only yesterday, 2 days ago now, that we discovered that our partners in Leeds had got the whole package figured out. It was like we're doing a feasibility study, and we were wanting to hold a partners meeting and say, we've got these unanswered questions and we're bringing you all together. We've been talking to you individually about different bits of it, just as I'm talking with you about one specific bit of it. I'm not talking to you about the problem of how much solar we can get on a roof, or whether you can connect solar on somebody's roof to the electric car parked outside in the community carport, right? So we've got lots of different questions, and it's only yesterday or the last couple of days that we found that this solar company have basically pulled together a package that works for a housing association and could work as easily for us. I mean, for them, it's not a problem to double the money, as it just doubles their potential business.
Double your money.
But I've also been talking to the council, and they are interested to be. They've got a communities team, and they're interested to help groups help communities, so that communities are the same thing that we want to do, so that communities are more engaged and more resilient. And if it's sort of that there are lots of groups who identify that they have problems with outreach. I mean, we're dealing with a very aging group of people at Quakers, so we get the occasional young person coming in, and we're really happy about that. But we haven't yet been taken over by young people who push us to the side and say, tell you what, we'll take over your place and run it for you. You're welcome to still come to meetings.
We should be so lucky.
Yeah, that's the point. And the point is, once you're spending 100 million in the area, and you've got a few hundred apprentices across Bristol who are going to their local communities and starting to talk to the local community at whatever places they can find. Oh, community centres, community hubs. Then the engagement starts, and these young people are going to be paid to be engaged in the programme, as will the community centres.
Surely then you should be going to places like UWE and that for people who are starting in their kind of environmental studies. They're starting in there.
No question. I've interrupted. I came down here and bumped into this old chum from University of Bristol, and he's not just from University of Bristol. He's one of their leads on community energy. So all the right people get interested quickly enough, and people, nobody's yet figured out what it's going to mean when this government starts investing hundreds of millions of pounds a year in community energy. That's going to mean change.
And also another person who will be able to point you in a much better direction than any of us could here is Dean Smart, who is lecturer at UWE, and he would know some of the people who are worth communicating with.
Steve, who?
I didn't hear who.
Dean Smart.
You want to spell that? P-A-R-T, did you say? Or H-A-R-T?
No.
Art or part?
He said Dean, D-E-A-N.
Dean Smart. Oh my God. Okay, I absolutely didn't hear. Yes, of course. So that's the point. We have people who are, yeah, absolutely. But this group is, if you like, curating one part of Bristol Central's outreach, and who else you involve. Yeah, lots of people. We
Hmm.
hope to involve 20,000 people.
Mm. Well,
Plus the Emperor Roscoe.
Right.
I'm beginning to suffer from the lack of an agenda for which I feel responsible. I think we could have done with an agenda. I'm
No.
sorry, everybody.
Well, we could think about things and come back. And I could ask our AI summarizing friend to see if it can produce an agenda or action points from what we've said. I agree. I deliberately circulated an email, which I think, it did have did it or did it not have a bit of an agenda? Let's see what I've sent you all in the last days.
Yes, no, it did. I mean, your concerns were about, was there anywhere else we could put the talks where they'd get more interest? And the fact that at present, both of the places where the backups are and where the talks are under your control, and that
Yes, that's right. Yeah, sorry. I mean, so I've diverted us from a discussion on sort of editorial policy for our talks.
And you also, I think, mentioned whether there could be links to the area meeting website. Now, it might be worth bringing something to business meeting a week on Sunday on that, because we could ask. But I've got a feeling they've been very reluctant to, do anything new.
Yeah,
I think
so. If I think my sort of if I'm not in this meeting, I would say, compared with the reception we're getting from other community centres about wanting to. Central's already very lucky. It's had massively improved facilities with help from Quaker funds. Other community centres aren't anything like as lucky, and we're getting a very enthusiastic response from them and wanting to engage with the resilience network. And I think, at the moment, if somebody said, so where are the Quakers on this, I'd say, well, if they are involved in this, it would be dragging them in, kicking and screaming right now. Not interested, basically, just not interested. But that's why I come to meeting. I come to these discussion groups. I go to Christopher's group. I'm as enthusiastic and optimistic and positive as I can be. But and I get the occasional response from David Mower saying, we should be supporting David, whatever that means. But I haven't found out what that means yet.
I think it means that other people should be supporting you because he hasn't got the time to do it himself.
Yeah, and the point is that I'm not looking for support at all. I'm looking for the opportunity to support. Our group is here to support groups in achieving their objectives, and I think the way I say it, it's we've got an aging population. We haven't got many people. I don't think that Quakers actually know how to engage with their community, or are actively involved in experimenting.
Well, I mean,
can't help them.
I think I'm wondering if it might be a good idea at the next meeting at the beginning of July. So far, I've not been inundated with matters. Whether we kind of have a threshing meeting about this, I mean, you missed last week because we had a lot of young visitors, and the meeting was a proper Quaker meeting because there were 2/3 women and 1/3 men, you know, whereas we're usually the other way around. So, I think we could actually ask
We should
people
stay
to
away.
Okay. I think we should ask these people if they stay, you know, for this discussion, because we'd welcome their views. And I think one of the reasons we're not involved in the local community very much is that none of us actually, well, you're within walking distance, aren't you, David? Jeffrey and Hilary are. Charles and Faustina are, but nobody else. The nearest then is Chris Gwinterfer, isn't it? In Easton. So
and David Moore lives in Easton.
He's in Redfield, and you know he's much involved with the community there. So
Well, that sounds like a positive proposal, Christopher.
well, shall I? Oh God. I should have stayed asleep. It would have been far safer. Right, I'll try. I mean, I'm not very good at drafting things, but I'll try. No, I mean, I'll ask David. Would you like to make 3 or 4 points that you think we could usefully have a kind of threshing meeting about, as far as engaging with the community?
We will treat that as a prompt to the AI that will be looking at what we said and see if it can come up with
well,
something.
if we could get AI to do it all for us, I'm sure friends would be
great. I actually find I'm using summaries that you know, I write emails and then say, what do you think about this? And pick up on the pieces that I've missed or the way that I've sort of structured it badly. So yeah, I'll do some. I'll try and come up with something.
Yeah.
Could you get AI? We ought to give it a name, shouldn't we? A rather better name than AI. Could you get it also to sort out the last 4 years or 3 years worth of talks and put them in a useful order so that they can be searched?
It's on the threshold of doing that. So if you I'm pretty sure I circulated that one of the most recent talks has got a link to a summary of the talk that was produced by AI. So it's only a stepping stone from that. At the moment, the AIs that are currently on the market aren't quite able to look at web pages themselves, but our collection of talks, but that they are able to look at the transcript of a Google video and come up with a summary. And it's only a short step from that to saying, look, here's a playlist of videos. Can you make a website with a summary of each talk and a picture? Not difficult at all.
Only once I had it, it would be easier to see where we have had quite a lot of input and where we haven't had any, and what's particularly, you know, it would help me to think who are the better people to approach, given what we've done already, and also ideally what brought in most interest. That would be useful to know.
Yeah.
So if we could do that, it would really help a lot. But appreciate it. It's work for somebody. Looks like it's probably you.
You know the
Sorry.
emails you send round saying what the talks are each month.
Hmm.
Do you keep them in a special place, or do you delete them once you've sent them, or
Oh no, I don't delete them. No.
are they on your? Is it on your?
They would be in my Gmail folder.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
be enough.
Okay,
I'm
great.
sorry.
Really good.
Somebody's got a
Lovely.
radio. I can't. Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll have a look because I think I've got a lot of notices that I haven't deleted. It
Right.
should be possible just to make a spreadsheet of what the talks were.
Well, the talks, there's already a playlist with all the talks in the order in which they were given.
Oh, right.
And that playlist is linked to at the bottom of every talk that's ever been given. So all you've got to do is go into the description of one talk, click on it, and you can see all the talks we've ever had.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Reverse chronological order. It likes to put them in chronological order, but that means that the latest one is at the bottom. So every time I put a new one in, I have to go in, edit, move it to the top. And so it's a push down list.
I'll go and try that shortly and
Yeah.
make sure I can do it. I'm not always all that successful, but I haven't tried recently, so I will do that. Thank you. And
Yes,
right.
and can I emphasis on that? That us here, to see people who meet and not harass them or hassle them or something, to say, that you've got something that might be other people might be interested in. Because I do that with all my Quaker friends around.
Yes, that's great. The thing is, we have got some absolutely fascinating, interesting people. I mean, apart from the belief that everybody is fascinating and interesting, but I mean, we have got a lot of especially interesting people. It's just getting the guys to come forward. I still think it might be worth actually doing a sortie to Redland meeting. I don't know.
Maybe we just need to get ducks microscopically more in a row. But yes, maybe after we've had this business meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You two can go to Redland and chat to them and
So
May I
I've
take? Do you think I could take my dog?
I've got a link cumulative playlist in at least I think it is in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
in
other
there.
thing, Patsy, if you look in Redland notices,
Yeah.
I think their shared lunches on the second Sunday of the month. And I mean, that would be a very good time to go because you could speak after meeting in the notices, and then you could hang around and speak to people and,
Yeah.
show them their food.
It would be even better though if I could take my dog, because one reason that I never stay to our shared lunches is that I got to race back. She will only tolerate a certain amount of time on her own, you see. So I actually get a friend to look after her. Do you think Redland meeting would be open to deciding?
They've had trouble with dogs in the past. I wouldn't. You could ask, but
okay.
the trouble is, they said yes to one person and no to another, which is no way of,
It's awkward. Yeah. I certainly a dog can be distracting. No, it's okay. I will arrange a double duty for someone.
Right. Have we taken this as far as it can go this afternoon, do you think?
Yeah, that sounds about right. By the way, I reposted that link because I think
the first one maybe didn't work, but I'll have to check.
Right, okay.
Okay.
But anyway, find any Quaker talk, and there ought to be a link to the cumulative list, and I'm going to check that so it's true or not. Yeah.
Okay. And
Okay.
do we want a date?
I would leave that for the time being because I think it's partly going to depend on what business meeting, if business meeting comes up with any ideas as well. I mean, I think actually two different things we're talking about, so it possibly have a look and see when Redland's next shared lunch is.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and if you and David are both free, that day you could go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine, Chris. Thank you.
Make sure if there is a shed, we could talk with somebody at Reglan beforehand, so we could have a little bit of a 5-minute talk spot during the lunch or something. That would be great.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Till we meet again.
Thanks.